Yo, what's up everybody? Thanks for checking out another one of the class overview videos I'm doing for EverQuest Legends. On this one I'm going to be going over the Shaman and just doing an overview on their strengths, their abilities and spells and stuff that they get, as well as some things to consider when you're picking the class. And then at the end I want to go over some of the trios, combinations that they can do with other classes that I think work really well. And getting started here on the Shaman, they have the stances of Channeler stance and the invocations of Divine, Empowering, Inversion, Overchannel, and Recovery. So going over the spells and stuff that they get, they have Haste and Slows, which are super strong. They also have really strong dots, like the curse and the poison dot that hits them, and it has like an upfront and hits a really strong over time. They have AAs to make the dots crits damage go higher, which it helps them out a lot. Another big spell that they get are the Malo line that reduces the resistances of the enemy, which is huge for getting all your stuff to stick. They do have a pet, which is also a shaman pet, and will cast lower level, spells to their appropriate level, which is pretty awesome. A little wolf pet. And then they have access to heals and heals over time. So that's something that they added in for EverQuest Legends, is the slugs line of healing and the turtles line of healing and stuff. Really, really strong. They have the same basic mana to heal ratio. The heals over time have the same ratio as the promised renewal from the cleric line, so it gives them a really strong source of health sustain that helps out a lot. The Cannibalize AA is awesome as well because it does a larger chunk. You don't have to spam the spell Cannibalize, which they still have, but it gives them a longer cooldown, but does a big chunk of health converted into mana, which is awesome for, they have their own heals, so it gives them a really nice source of sustain on their mana. One of their buffs that everybody likes is the Spirit of the Puma that you can put on a target. It lasts like a minute long at its base, but you can increase the level of it to make it last longer. They have AAs to help things go longer for like their beneficial spells, like their heals over time and stuff like that, which really benefits the Shaman. But getting that spell to last longer is nice. And what the spell does, it gives them a chance to proc an extra attack on the enemies. So if you're hitting really hard, that will proc an additional attack. Even if you're dual wielding or whatever, it's still going to do lots of damage. So Spirit of the Puma is a great spell that they have on there. They also have tons of other buffs aside from like the hastes and the Spirit of the Puma. They're going to have like health buffs, armor buffs, strength buffs, charisma buffs, and they have just tons of buffs. So really strong, really nice all around class. Some of the things that I wanted to let you know that to consider when you're picking the class was that the heals over time do have some side effects. So like the turtle line makes them move slower, and then the other heal over time line that they get makes their attack speeds slower. They changed the name recently, I can't recall off the top of my head, but they do have two separate lines, one for a slower, a big heal with a slower movement speed, one with a big heal over time for a slower attack speed. They're both heals over time. But if you're not attacking, or if you're not worried about moving fast, it's going to give you a really big heal. So something just to be aware of. The other thing I put on there was that their pet will pull a lot of aggro because it will cast that slow a lot currently with the AI. I would imagine this is something that they're working on, but in the current state that I played it with the pre-order, the pet would itself, use all of its mana, slowing all of the mobs, and then pull aggro, which maybe you want it to, but for me, I would like to see it be a little more judicial with its mana usage, because it can heal itself and things like that too. So you can go in and toggle which spells. They had an option that you can actually tell the pet to do that stuff. I didn't mess with it. in the pre-order, but I did see that they have that in the options panel to pull up a window to be able to do those things. Something I want to play with when everything goes live. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was that they don't have like a way to escape combat other than like their gate spell, which everybody in the comments has been real friendly on pointing out that gate does work as an escape. If you're in trouble, you can do inversion stance and gate out. I specifically was thinking along the lines of like a feigned death, where they want to stop that specific fight and let it reset. I know when I played my Shaman, they get a plane of Sky Ring that does have a click effect for feigned death, which was interesting. It's a nice utility that you can pull that click effect off that ring and put it in one of your other rings as a Shaman. Pretty awesome, but that was just my overall things that I wanted to consider for the Shaman class. So when you're looking at that, you know, what goes well with it? Well, Shamans are another one of those classes that really goes well with everything, in my opinion. They have the hastes and the slows, they have the big dots, they have the Melo, which is huge. There's just a lot of ways that you can slot them in and have them augment the group, especially with like the cannibalize to give them mana. So it's like they're really bringing something for all the different combinations. So where I think they help the most are the trios that don't have the haste or the slow specifically, or if you're trying to go with like a big dot build, for instance. I think those were some of the biggest standouts in my mind. So something like the warrior, you know, for all the tank classes, the tanks always love healers, everybody loves a healer. So having, you know, a warrior and a shaman, a shadow knight and a shaman, or a paladin and a shaman, you know, ranger and a shaman, whatever, that's going to add that slow into the kit and haste yourself. Both of those are huge. So also talking a little bit about the DOTs, because of their AAs that increase the crit damage of their dots, that makes it really nice option for classes, trios that want to maximize the dot damage. So something like a Necromancer has an additional AA that they get for more crit chance. Shamans have the AA for more crit damage. I think that's really nice synergistic. You also have a class like the Druids that have a great DOT line, so having more dots into that mix is really nice when you're taking down dragons and mini whelps and stuff like that. So I like the idea of a dot damage class, because you can get those spells out once they stick. You don't have to keep recasting them. You can do other things like focus on your white damage or something from your tank, or healing other people. It gives you that flexibility. So last but not least, the big thing I wanted to highlight would be their Cannibalize AA, that lets them up their mana so that you can keep healing or keep doing damage. And you know, it's something to watch out for because it will hit you, but if you have your hots rolling, if you're not taking a ton of damage, if you're in between fights, you just want to pump up your mana, that'll let you continue fighting for longer. So something like with the wizards, or you know, mages and things like that, really super nice options, pumping you full of mana. You know, they have, it's lots of interesting ways that I could see this going. They're a very strong class at the moment because of how strong their hastes and slows are and how strong their dots are. So, you know, getting Melo on there is something I'm considering, with like having Melo and Tashina from an enchanter. It does, you know, on the surface it looks like there's a lot of overlap, but if you're really trying to shred their magic resist so that your charm lasts longer, having both of those things on there just seems like a win to me. So thank you as always for all the support on the videos and watching. Let me know in the comments what trios you are planning on doing. I really enjoy reading those, and thanks for all the support. I really appreciate it. Have a good day. Later.